In other videos, I've talked with you about how nice it would be if we could each join one another on Team Healthy. Well, today I want to talk much more specifically about what that might mean, being a member of Team Healthy. And the way I'm going to do this is I've identified 10 primary aspects of our psychological engagements with one another, and I want to make a comparison and contrast as we look at those 10 primary aspects. I want to look at those from the vantage point of those who are on Team Narcissism and then compare it with how people on Team Healthy would approach those same 10 aspects. Now, it's good for you to know that over on our website, survivingnarcissism.tv, I've actually written a much more extensive article, and we've actually put it in quiz form so that you can go through these 10 with me and then actually get a rating on yourself to see exactly how closely you would identify with Team Narcissism versus Team Healthy. So go check that out when you finish watching the video, of course. Okay, let's get right to it. One primary aspect of engaging with each other is to come to terms with the need to be in control. Now, many times you've heard me talk about this. If you're on Team Narcissism, your craving for control is strong. It's an identifying feature. Narcissists easily rationalize why they need to tell other individuals what to do. They're stubborn, they're very insistent, they're persuasive, they're critical. Now, interestingly, if you call them out on it and tell them you're being so controlling, they're saying, no, I'm being helpful. And they honestly think they're trying to help you out, or at least that's the way they can rationalize it within themselves. Compare that to people on Team Healthy. People on Team Healthy, it's like, I don't feel the need to control other individuals. Yes, they have standards and principles and values, but they understand that the best way to approach any kind of task or any kind of interaction with other individuals is with a mind of freedom. Freedom is defined as the privilege to choose. I want to speak with other individuals in such a way that they get to choose who they are when they're in my presence, and I get to choose who I'm going to be. And then let's see if we have enough overlap in the way that we do our lives together. But freedom, the privilege to choose, is primary for those of us who are on Team Healthy. A second aspect, and that is curiosity about other individuals. It's so necessary for us to recognize that we're all interacted, and what one person does has an impact on others. And so it's like, well, if we're going to engage with each other, we might as well learn what's going on inside of each other as a way of being more coordinated. People on Team Narcissism, it's like, I'm not curious about people. I want to know what they can do to make me feel better, but they're too busy trying to fit other individuals into a mold. They have to just tell, here's how you're supposed to be, as opposed to asking, who are you and what's going on inside of you? Typically they can, even when a person does try to talk about their personal stuff, they hijack the conversation and run off and say, well, let's talk about me anyway. They just don't really care about who you are from the inside out. People on Team people on Team Healthy, it's like, no, I really want to know other individuals. They enjoy finding out unique things about another individual and their lifestyle and their preferences and their habits. They're known as being tuned in to people. They're honored when someone shares something of a personal nature. A third aspect of life, and that is notions about human worth. Narcissists, they have notions about human worth. People on Team Narcissism, it's like, yeah, you have worth every single time you do something that makes me feel better. And literally, that's the way they think. They look for people who are going to be yes people. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'll do what you want me to do. And then if you go along with them, then you have worth. So worth is basically given to you in direct correlation to your usefulness to them. Now, it's interesting. People on Team Healthy understand that worth is simply an inherent element inside of every person. And I want you to catch this distinction. Worth is something to be recognized. It's not something to be earned or given. I don't give you worth, and you don't have to earn worth. You simply have it. People on Team Healthy understand there's an inherent dignity in every individual. Let's find it, let's recognize it, and let's lean into it. A fourth aspect, and that is processing tender emotions. All right, I want you to think. When you encounter someone who's on Team Narcissism, how comfortable are they? in talking to you about soft emotions. Let's say somebody's feeling really hurt, or there's a disappointment, or there's a confusion that they have, or they're talking about a very delicate and sensitive subject. Narcissists are not at all comfortable with that. They're not tender. Gentleness to a narcissist is equated to a form of weakness. And so when someone says, I want to talk with you about the tender side of life, and it may be, just talking about, holding a baby or things like that. It's like, no, I don't do that. They consider it to be beneath them, or just they're uncomfortable with it. Whereas people on Team Healthy, it's like, well, when you share something tender with me, then I want to make sure that we go into it. They consider it an honor when other individuals reveal personal matters. They're known as being comforting, available, they're safe people. A fifth aspect of life with each other is managing conflict. Every relationship of a long-term nature is going to have moments where we disagree or we have conflict with one another, and that just should be no surprise, and it doesn't need to be threatening to anyone. Now, when you're encountering with someone on, you've encountered someone on Team Narcissism, they don't do conflict well at all. In their mind, conflict means you're wrong and they have to superimpose their preferences or their interpretations onto you. They can be unbending, they can go to the place of insulting and name calling, and basically at the end of a conflict with that person on Team Narcissism, people walk away feeling miserable or tense. It's just like, why do I even bother with this person? Whereas individuals on Team Healthy, again, they recognize that conflict happens. They recognize that conflict represents an opportunity to learn one another in a fuller way, and with the idea that we're going to try to figure out how to blend with each other. They like the idea of harmony. And so they can talk about their issues, and they can be firm when necessary. And I believe that sometimes we have to establish our assertiveness and our boundaries, but they do so in a way that says, at the end, I'm hoping people can walk away with their dignity still intact. There's a sense of respect that they maintain even in the midst of conflict. Narcissists can't do that. A sixth aspect of life, and that is attitudes about forgiveness. People on Team Narcissism, they don't seek forgiveness, that's for sure, because even if they've done something wrong, and let's say it's glaringly obvious, they might have to say, well, okay, that I didn't handle that very well, but later on, they go through revisionist history and all like that. They don't want to be forgiven, because to say, I want to be forgiven implies that they're subordinate. That's how they think, and they certainly tend not to offer forgiveness. If you've wronged a narcissist, it's like, oh, you are so going to pay, and they can hold on to grudges for a long time. Whereas people on Team Healthy understand that blunders, mistakes, miscalculations are inevitable, and so they want to go to the place of forgiveness as a matter of healing. They're willing to forgive other individuals who've done them wrong, and again, it doesn't mean they don't have to have boundaries, because that can still be a part of it. And then when they've made blunders or miscalculations, they're willing to say, I own it. I've done wrong, and I'd like to make restitution, and they're willing to seek forgiveness as a means of keeping a sense of peace. Now, a seventh aspect of interacting with each other, and this is huge for the narcissist, and that is maintaining a certain public image. People on Team Narcissism have to have this image of themselves as being beyond blemish. They think of themselves as special, so they want to identify with anything that allows them to appear that way. And so they're drawn to themes like, social status, or perhaps intellectualism or materialism. They like to be known as somebody who's highly accomplished. They may go into vanity, things of that nature. People on Team Healthy, their public image is such that says, what you see is what you get. There's an authenticity in the way that they engage with others. Of course, we all want to be known and known in a positive light, and we want to be liked and accepted. But basically, people on Team Healthy say, I've got regular traits just like everyone else, and they're comfortable in their own skin. They're approachable and they're humble. They feel no need to keep up some sort of airs that makes them look like somebody that they're really not. An eighth aspect of life that's so important, and that is openness to direction. All right, I want you to think about that one. When you are dealing with someone on team narcissism and you notice there's something that might be done that could help the flow of the relationship, how willing is that narcissist to say, hey, thanks for the input? They don't do that. They're not open to direction. Keep in mind, they're very controlling and they're very impressed with themselves. And so they won't say things like, can you help me out? Or I need to be refined and perhaps you can help me in that process. They're very defensive. They're very thin-skinned. If you suggest that there might be something different that goes on between you and them, they can take offense at that. Whereas people on Team Healthy, it's like life is an ongoing learning process. And I don't have the corner of the market on all knowledge and all wisdom. And so if someone comes along and says, may I give you some direction? It's like, sure, I'd like to hear from you. And they'll listen. They'll even solicit input from other individuals. They like having mentors and advisors that they can engage with. They consider self-improvement a lifelong process, and they're very willing to engage with that. A ninth characteristic or aspect of life we have to come to terms with is an understanding of human equality. Now, this is a big one for people on Team Narcissism. Their mindset is, you're not equal to me, you're beneath me. Somewhere way back in their personal development, they learned that there's a one-up, one-down kind of system, and they decided, I've got to figure out how to be one-up, and so they can find flaws in other individuals and overlook their own. And so they tend to be very condescending toward other individuals. Maybe they use double standard. Well, you need to do this, but I'm better than you, so I don't need to go along with that. Or they don't particularly care for menial tasks and things like that, which is their way of saying, I'm above the rest of you peons. Whereas people on Team Healthy, it's like, we all have different skills and different capabilities, but down at the core, there's an equality we want to recognize. I may not have the same giftedness as you, and you may not have the same giftedness as me, but let's treat each other in the way that we want to be treated. You know, the old golden rule. And so you have your unique capabilities that I'll appreciate. I have my unique capabilities. Let's each lean into it and hold one another up in high regard. And then a 10th aspect of life we all have to come to terms with is the element of love and goodness. With a person on Team Narcissism, love means you have to adore me. I want you to admire me, conform to me. And they may act at times good or loving if they think, okay, this is what I have to do to get you to adore me and admire me, but it's not really love. It's just setting themselves up in a favored kind of position. Whereas people on Team Healthy, it's like love is not so much an emotion, although it is, but it's bigger than that. It's a multidimensional quality. It includes kindness and honor and patience toward one another. Firmness, yes, but even in firmness, there's calmness. And it's a state of mind, even more so than just an emotion. So there you have it, 10 aspects of life. And I want you to kind of determine which way do I tend to lean. Now, again, by the way, if you've not subscribed, this is the part where I say go ahead and subscribe. But then I also want you to go to survivingnarcissism.tv, and you're going to see an article with the same title that we have here for our video. And it's going to show you how you can approach these 10 things that I've talked with you about in a way where you can score yourself and figure out, where you really rate compared to Team Narcissism versus Team Healthy. And I want you to see if you can do that. I want to be a healthy person, and I want to bring as many people as I can over with me to Team Healthy. Stay forward leaning and commit yourself to knowing that even if individuals like the narcissist in front of you want to pull you over to their side, it's like, nope, I've got a real good idea of who I'm going to be. I'm on Team Healthy. That's where I'm going to go. I like being a person of steadiness, of dignity and respect. That's who I'm going to be. That's how I define myself. Now, in addition to the websites, if you have a need to unpack some of these things with a licensed professional counselor, we have a link below there. We have links to my books and my online workshops. And so avail yourself to that. And thank you for letting me be on your journey with you.